So we are studying Masechet Sanhedrin. We're Daf Sadiheh Amud Aleph. We're going to be continuing the story of Od Hayom Benov, the consequences of Nov Ila Kohanim. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. They have the New York Jets. Is it the season opener or something like that? Monday night and the New York Jets. I myself was thinking of sending Mikey a WhatsApp. I don't know. Something happened. We have a wedding. What? You're taping it. Okay. So right, exactly. It's kind of exciting. Monday night. Monday Night Football is more exciting than. Okay. Right. Anybody remember Howard Cosell? Monday Night Football? That's the guy, right? Great days. Yes, that's right. Okay, so anyway, and tomorrow we have the debate. That actually is also quite interesting. But let's study. We're coming close to Rosh Hashanah, so studying Torah is always a good idea. And I'm happy that we have all of you here. So we're going to continue with the story of Nov Ila Kohanim. The idea of the story of Nov Ila Kohanim is that it's an interesting concept. The concept is as follows. An individual makes a mistake. He does something wrong in his life. He makes an avon. You come before Hashem on the Rosh Hashanah, on Kippur, Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. You ask for forgiveness. You say you're going to make Teshuvah. After you make Teshuvah, meaning commitment, not to repeat the mistake, not to repeat the sin. You're going to change yourself, and then you ask for forgiveness, and Hashem forgives you. And theoretically, there could also be kapara. There could also be that the consequences for that bad act may be dissipated. That's at the individual level. At the national level, it's not so simple. When the nation makes a mistake, or when the leaders of the nation make a mistake, there's consequences. A great example, a very tragic, very tragic example, one that I almost would not have spoken about on October 8th. Never would have said this, of course, because we were all in such shock. But now with some perspective, and we have time on our side, so we can think about it. And it's so obvious that the 2005 disengagement from Gaza, which involved literally destroying Jewish communities in Gaza. I mean, they literally just took Jews and yanked them out of their houses. It was truly actual tragedy. And it had consequences. So we saw. So you say, okay, but it's not fair. But that's the way it is. At the national level, when the nation makes a mistake, when the leaders make a mistake, there's consequences. So here the mistake that was done was a very, I would say, innocent mistake. David HaMelech was, trying to save his life. He was running away. He goes to Nov Ila Kohanim. How on earth is he supposed to know that Doeg HaEdomi is listening, and that Doeg HaEdomi is going to go back to Shaul and drive Shaul crazy, trigger him actually, trigger Shaul to come chase down David and then kill all the Kohanim. But that's what happened. So we see here the consequences, and we read last week how God comes to David HaMelech and he says, look, you have this unpaid bill, you got to pay your bill. Nov Ila Kohanim is your fault. You caused Shaul to go crazy. You caused Shaul to kill the people of Nov Ila Kohanim. You caused Doeg HaEdomi to lose his Olam Haba. He lost his Olam Haba. This is all a series of things that you put into motion. So you have to take responsibility. And again, this is the difference between an individual sin and a national sin. If a person makes an avon individually, okay, hatati, aviti, pashati, he's forgiven. If a person does an avon at the national level, there's hell to pay. You understand? There's hell to pay. What?
Leaders have more responsibility.
Leaders have responsibility. The leader made a mistake, and now he has to pay for it. That's why leadership is not always the best thing. Sometimes you don't want to be a leader. I'm happy to say I'm not the Prime Minister of Egypt. I don't know how Egypt, of Israel. I don't know how, because right now they're having this thing with Egypt, Israel and Egypt having a disagreement. On top of all the other disagreements, you have Iran surrounding Israel. Now Turkey is joining the BRICS. Now Egypt. I'm happy I'm not the Prime Minister of Israel. I don't know how he deals with it. People say it's a 7-front war. That's not including Egypt. If you include Egypt, it's an 8-front war. Egypt does not want Israel taking over Philadelphia corridor. I'll explain to you why. For those who are interested, the reason is as follows: because the son of the president of Egypt is making hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on having the illegal arms going from Egypt, through Egypt, to Hamas, right? And they're going to lose hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's really what that's about. So that's an 8-front war. And then you have they had I think they say 500,000 people were demonstrating in the streets of Tel Aviv, I think Saturday night, against the government. So it's a 9-front war. I'm happy I'm not the prime minister. I don't know how on earth you deal with all those different issues. It really is unbelievable. Bibi Netanyahu, I don't know how he does it, but anyway, the point is leadership is a great responsibility, and now David HaMelech is going to suffer for what he did. So Amar Papa, is that the right place? That's where you're at? Is that what you said? Bat Dina Batel Dina, that's what I showed you, or did I show you something else? V'yishbi Benov?
Yes.
Okay, V'yishbi Benov. Okay. V'yishbi, this is a verse in the book of Shemuel. It's at the end of David HaMelech's life. He's already old. He's fought a lot of battles. In David HaMelech's philosophy as a king and as a military leader, he went out to war, which is really impressive. Meaning, can you imagine like a president of the United States going out to the battle? Can you imagine Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu going out to the battle? So the idea is David HaMelech used to go to all the battles, and there was a situation where the Yishbi Benov, there was a person called Yishbi. Yishbi was in the city of Nov. And this is all Peshat. I'm giving you the Peshat to the Pasuk. The Gemara is going to give us a fantastic story. But the Peshat is Veishbi Benov. In the city of Nov was Yishbi. Asher Bilideh Harafa. And this Yishbi was from the descendants of the Rephaim. The Rephaim were the giants that inhabited Israel before the Jewish people entered Israel. So it was the Rephaim even before that, actually. And the Rephaim were from the indigenous nations, or the indigenous ethnic group that was in the area of Israel. So that's the Rephaim. In the days of Abraham Avinu, you had the Rephaim there. I want to correct what I said. It was in the days of Abraham Avinu. These are like weird giant creatures, anthropologically different than modern man. So that's the Rephaim. So this Yishbi was a descendant of the Rephaim. Umishkal keno shelosh meot mishkal nechoshet. He had a giant spear. It was a wooden spear, but the blade was copper, and it weighed like 300 shekels of copper. I don't know what that comes out to. It was a very big spear, okay? A very big blade. Deu harur hadasha. And he had an armored suit on. The verse says that he saw David HaMelech in the war, and David HaMelech was already old, and he couldn't run as quickly as he was able to go previously, and he wants to kill David HaMelech. So that's the pasuk. This pasuk is going to form the template for a series of fantastical stories that the Gemara will bring, and we're going to read those stories now. So I'm going to read the stories. After I read the stories, I'm going to try to explain part of it, and also give you some of the method behind what appears to be madness, okay? So let me just say that there are the Agadot in the Gemara, and there are two approaches to the Agadot, because Agadot seem like almost like, mythological, like these crazy stories, like what is this about? Like how could that have been? So there's two approaches to these stories. One approach is that they're literal. So there's a lot of people in the community in Israel, many people who say that Agadot are literal. Fair enough. That's that's the way they want to understand it. That's the way they understand it. But then there's what I would consider to be a more sophisticated approach, which is a Maimonidean approach. The Maimonidean approach says that no, the Agadot are not literal, meaning they're not literal events in the sense that they contain within themselves some sort of deeper, secret meanings, right? And that the Chachamim encoded in the Agadot some secret messages. Okay, so those are the two approaches. So
you're being very nice and fair to those. Rambam goes out of his way, doesn't he? Say if you take it literally, you're putting darkness into the Torah.
Yeah, that's what Hanambam says.
It makes the Torah look really bad in a way.
Hanambam actually says you're correct,
Fine.
and Torah's Rabbi Avraham ben Hanambam also discusses it, and they both say that that when you say that it's a literal story, you're imputing a certain level of I'm just thinking of a more gentle word, but I'm just going to use the word stupidity because I'm not focused. So he says you're imputing a certain level of stupidity on the authors of the Agadot, in as much as you're suggesting that they believe that these types of stories could have happened, right? So that's you're right. I was trying to be a little more gentle, but it doesn't matter. You get it. I believe in respecting people, and not that in any way I can compare myself to Harambam. If Harambam says what he says, and I fully accept it. I have to humble myself before Harambam. Who am I to, be like, oh, I'm going to be politically correct, and Chas v'shalom. Harambam was Harambam, and I'm like nothing compared to him. So I stand corrected. Okay. My Yishbi beno. So now the Gemara is going to begin analyzing the pasuk. What does it mean? Yishbi was in Nov. Yishbi, this giant, was in the city of Nov. Amar Rabbi Huda, Amar Rab Ish Sheba Alisken Nov. The reason Yishbi was in the city of Nov, the city wasn't actually Nov. It was called Nov, but it was in the southern part of Israel, where today Ashkelon, Ashdod is. And the reason it was called Nov is because there is the allusion to Nov Ila Kohanim, the city where the Kohanim was killed. So Yishbi Beno means he's literally sitting in the story of Nov Ila Kohanim, and he's waiting to write the next chapter of the story. And the next chapter of the story is David HaMelech has to pay. Okay? God told David HaMelech the following: for how long will this sin be hidden within you? You did the sin, you have to pay. Number one, the Kohanim were massacred. And because of you, Doeg HaEdomi ended up losing his Olam Haba, because he's the one who he actually physically killed the Kohanim. Remember, everybody was afraid to do it. He says, I'll do it. And because of you, Shaul was eventually killed. The sons of Shaul were killed, because the sin was so great. What Shaul HaMelech did was so horrible that eventually he died in the battlefield with his 3 sons. A very tragic story. Shaul was a great leader. It's funny, I felt it myself. I once spoke to a great rabbi in Israel, and he told me the same thing. Like, Shaul was a great leader. Hazit, he had a mental issue, but he was a beautiful neshama, and just very sad when you read the story of Shaul and what happened to him. But okay, so God is telling David HaMelech, I'll give you a choice. One choice is, I'm going to kill all of your offsprings. Or choice number 2, there's door number 1, door number 2, right? We have now the door number 1, Donald Trump, door number 2, Kamala Harris. Well, we know what's behind door number 1. We don't really know what's behind door number 2. But here he tells, right, what's behind door number 2. Anybody know? I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, but be that as it may. He said, I'm going to give you door number 1. Your descendants, your children will be killed. Door number 2, you personally will be captured by your enemy. Amar lefanav, ribono shel olam, mutav emaser bi'ad oyev v'lo yechle zar'i. He says, God, I prefer that I be taken by the enemy, and my children should not be destroyed. Yom echad, one day, nafak. So you understand the setup. So that's the setup. Okay, now comes the revenge, or the punishment. Yom echad, nafak lishkor bazai. One day he's going hunting with his hawk. Ata Satan ve'idmele ketavia. The Satan comes and he appears as a beautiful deer. Sevi, right? Sevi is a deer. Patak begira. He takes his arrow to shoot the deer. He's hunting. Ve'lamatye. The arrow didn't hit the deer. The deer is going so fast that the arrow couldn't hit him. Mashche. So now he's chasing the deer. Finally, he reaches the land of the Philistines. We said the land of the Philistines is where today the Gaza Strip is, and a little north of the Gaza Strip also. Kid Hazia Yishbi Menov, when Yishbi saw David HaMelech. Now Yishbi's brother was killed by David HaMelech. Yishbi's brother was Goliath. So now he sees the person who killed his brother. Amar, I recognize this guy. He's the one who killed Goliath. Kafteh, he catches him, handcuffs him. Kamteh, he Hazat, the hostages, those 6 hostages that were killed recently. Apparently they were underground in a position where they couldn't stand up. I mean, they must have suffered horribly. They probably went, straight to Gan Eden after what they went through. I can't even imagine it. Kamteh, he crumbles him up, it's not that, it's one thing to handcuff a person. It's another thing to handcuff a person where he's like, he ties you up, so you're like in a crouched position, right?
Talking about David?
About David. That's what, in other words, This guy Yishbi catches David,
did this thing.
and he's like tying him up in a very crouched over position, right? Otveh.
So we see this in Tanakh, in the Pesukim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. What we see in the Tanakh is all we saw in the Tanakh was a pasuk that I read before, V'yishbi benov. Right, that pasuk that we read earlier, right? V'yishbi benov asher beyaldei Arafah, and it says Vayom elakot et David. All it says he wanted to kill David HaMelech. The Chachamim says so. They're the ones who are elaborate. This is not in the Pesukim.
Okay, this is Midrash. Got it.
This is all Midrash.
Got it.
Yes, okay. So it says he tied him at a very, again, in a position, not handcuffed like the police do, but tied up. The body is completely bound. He wanted to kill him slowly. So how did he want to kill him slowly? So if you ever see an olive press, or the way the olive press is designed, there's a big furrow, usually like a log that's carved out, and you put the olives in this big furrow, and then you take this giant log, which is very heavy, it has a weight on the side, meaning it goes down like this, but on this side there's a weight, so that it crushes the olive slowly. So he wants to kill him in a very sadistic manner. So he puts him in the olive press. Itavid lenisa, and a miracle happened. When he put the olive press down, the furrow that was holding him, it cracked open, and he was under the furrow. Rather being crushed by the beam, he was kind of in a situation, not a pleasant situation, but he was trapped somewhere under the furrow, right? Tuteh bebadia. It avid lenisa, makale arami tuteh. Hainu dichtiv, and this is what the pasuk says in Tehillim, tarchiv sa'adi tahtai velo ma'adu karsulai. God, you widened up the place for my tzad. Tzad means my stride, right? And because of this, I didn't slip down. It's of course the peshat of the pasuk is that God always helps me go through. We say in the morning, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, hamechin mis'adei chaveh. What does hamechin mis'adei chaveh mean? We believe that God always sets the road for us to walk on, right? So what we end up doing during the day is we're walking, continuing the journey of life. That journey of life is a road. So who sets the road before us? We choose what to do in the road, of course. God doesn't choose, but we choose which way to go, right? So God prepares the road before us. So when we meet somebody, and that person, he has something that I wanted to sell, to buy, whatever, with all these things around us, and that we're going on this journey in life. So God is the one who sets everything for us. So that's what this pasuk really means. God widens the places for me to walk through, meaning I have so many choices, says David HaMelech. That's the peshat of the pasuk. But the rasha is that God sort of widen the area where the beam was going, because it cracked open the bottom, and he was able to go there and survive. Okay, I want to deal with the midrash for a moment. I'm just going to give you. I don't always understand every midrash. I want to tell you what this means. So Sevi, he was chasing a Sevi. Sevi in Hebrew is a deer. And now the deers in Israel are very beautiful. They're not like the deers in America. It's a different type of creature, but they're very beautiful. And it's actually a word used in Hebrew to describe beauty. So Eretz HaSevi, the land of beauty, because we have the beautiful deer in Israel. So it's a word that has various meanings. It could mean deer, but it also means beautiful. My father, Alav Shalom, once explained to me, this is how we have sometimes in our Arabic, we say Abu Sabi. What does Abu Sabi mean? You should be the father of a beautiful child, right? Beautiful boy. So Sabi is Milashon Sevi, right? Because so beautiful. When you have a boy, you're just enjoying looking at him. It's just beautiful feeling. That's Abu Sabi, right? Abu Sabi. You should have that beautiful feeling in your life. So sometimes I want to explain to you what this. So David HaMelech is chasing. He's hunting. He has a hawk and he's hunting. Okay. So
who was hunting? Who was running?
David HaMelech, remember, he was hunting. He had a hawk, and he's hunting the Sevi.
Got it. Right.
Okay. And then he's put in an olive press, and he's crushed, or was going to be crushed. Okay. So what does that mean? I think I know what it means. I'll just give you my own interpretation. So sometimes in life you see something beautiful, right? It's very beautiful. Could be a guy. I know somebody who once was going out with a girl. She was a goya, actually. She was a guy. I guess she was beautiful. Okay, he thought she was beautiful. So sometimes in life you see something beautiful, right? Right? Now, why would anybody go out with the goya? Like, what? She's beautiful. Like, not going out with the goya because she, I don't know, because she makes good kibbeh or lahbaji, because she, I don't know. You say, wow, she has a great Jewish education. You go, yeah, because she's beautiful. Okay, so that's human nature. So you begin to chase. So what happens? So you're chasing after this sevi, right? Because it's beautiful, and you keep going further and further down into the rabbit hole, and eventually you get to a point where you can't escape anymore. Like at first, it's your choice. You can decide, what, the heck with it. I couldn't, whatever. It's like the arrow was too far for me. I'm just not going to do this anymore because it really is a wajaras to go with the goya. Like, it's not like you're not going to come with it to knees. Like you're not going to introduce it to your parents. You're not going to, I don't know, go to your grandparents. How do you say it? Jiddo, right there. Jiddo, I have a nice goya. But so it becomes like the arrow is really far. They have to keep shooting and shooting. It's like really you have to run after it, right? Not natural. So the point is, we get trapped by our imagination sometimes. We're going after something that we shouldn't be going after. But what is David HaMelech doing with the hawk hunting, right? So he thinks he's hunting a sevi, but he's not hunting the sevi. The sevi is hunting him, right? So we think in life, beautiful, yeah, goya, beautiful, I'm hunting her. You're not hunting her. You're being hunted. You just think you're hunting her, right? And eventually you get to a point in your life where you're like, you can't extricate yourself anymore because you're so far committed into that chase, you can't go back. And then suddenly you realize the truth. The truth is, Yishbi Benov, I don't know, maybe she has a Wahush brother, crazy, I don't know, crazy uncle. Who the heck knows? I mean, you go out with I don't know, I don't want to say any ethnic groups. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you go out with somebody and where are you going? Like, what are you ending up in? Like, where is this going to lead to, right? So, my father, Alav Hashem, by the way, he stopped so many people from marrying goyot. Like people used to come to him. I don't know how he did it. He had a special power to him. But young people who were about to marry goyot, and he would stop it. I don't know what he said, but okay. So, but this is the truth. So you're going down, and it doesn't have to be a goya. It could be different things in life. I have an opportunity. I can cheat somebody. I have this scam I'm going to do. I'm going to make money by scamming. Scam. God forbid. You go so far down into the scam, and then where does it lead? God, I don't even want to say. It's scary, right? These things don't always end well, do they? Right? So now David HaMelech is saved. Now, why is he saved? He's saved because the olive press is where you smash the olives. Now, when you smash the olives, the shemen zayit, zach, is katit lamaor. You use it to light the menorah in the Bet HaMikdash. You're going to be bringing light to the world through the olive oil. Now that olive oil is a mashal to the people who teach Torah, and they light up the world through their Torah. Not everybody does that. You can be teaching Torah, and maybe you're even bringing darkness to the world. I don't know. But I'm saying, so there's a special thing about David HaMelech, that he was a king, and yet he taught Torah to the people, and because he was in that position of power, and he had that beautiful speech, the book of Tehillim is beautiful, right? So he brought light to the world. So that's the light of the Torah. So the zechut. So what can possibly save a person from this type of situation? You're chasing a goya, bar minan, I don't know, you meet uncle, whatever, some wahush uncle, and now what are you doing to my niece? You're going to break up with her because she's not Jewish. I'm just, making up a story. What, I don't know what to do. How do I get out of here? What's, right? So it's you're in this. So what can possibly save a person is a person like David HaMelech, one in a million, who he brought light to the world. So he's put in the olive press, and the zechut of the olive press saves him, right? It's kind of he's able to hide under the olive press, and the guy's trying to kill him, but he can't kill him because the Torah that he taught and the light that he brought to the world saved him. That's why he got saved. But not everybody is David HaMelech, right? Right. We're not all David HaMelech. We don't feel it, right? I didn't write too many Tehillim. I didn't. I gotta admit it. I have to be humble. So stay away from trouble, because if you keep chasing that deer, you can get to a point where it's going to be very difficult to turn back. Right? You see that? That's a good. So I just wanted to give you like an example of how the Agadot of the Chachamim, they have beautiful pearls of wisdom to them. Right? So I gave you the Peshat, which is one way to study the Agadah, and I gave you now the beautiful pearl of wisdom. I'm not going to continue doing that. I'm going to continue reading the Peshat of the Agadot. Okay?
But you'll give us the Messiah, meaning you'll do the Peshat, and then you'll explain it again if there's another one.
If I'm inspired and I get the inspiration as I just got now,
Okay.
I will explain it. Okay. Hahu Yoma. So the story continues. Hahu Yoma apanya de ma'ale Shabbat haba. It was Erev Shabbat. Avishai ben Seruya havak ha'if reshe. And Avishai ben Seruya was one of his military leaders. He was a brother of Yoav ben Seruya. Yoav ben Seruya was the head of the army. Avishai ben Seruya is his brother. Now, Yoav ben Seruya was actually fighting a war at this time, so he wasn't in Jerusalem. Avishai ben Seruya is in Jerusalem. It's Erev Shabbat. What do you do Erev Shabbat? According to Halakha, you have to shampoo your hair. You think, what's the big deal that he's shampooing his hair? Anybody live in Manhattan Beach? Have you been having water outages over the last few days? Not just me. It's crazy. Every other day we have like a sign, water out, no water tomorrow. Again today. Today we have no water. Tomorrow we're having no water. Anyway, I said now like I kind of appreciate, the Talmudic statement before Shabbat you have to shampoo your hair. Like, you don't have water, how are you supposed to shampoo your hair? So it really was, so you're supposed to go to the river, get the water, heat it on a fire, and shampoo your hair. And now I understand, it was a big deal, right? It was a big deal. So hopefully we'll have water soon. So he was shampooing his hair. You get it? Yani he's getting ready for Shabbat, right? And what do you call it? Hold on one second. Yeah. And he is shampooing his hair. He brought like 4 large jugs of water to shampoo his hair. Okay? Hazinu katme dama. And he saw, as he's shampooing his hair, he saw 4 stains of blood. I take this to mean in each one of the jugs of water there was blood. That's very strange. Maybe 1 jug of water or something, I don't know. But the 4 jugs, and in each one there was blood. So he understood there's something happening. Okay. Ikal de amre, atayona itzrif kameh. Another version of the story is that it was Erev Shabbat, and he's getting ready for Shabbat, and this dove, a beautiful dove, comes and it starts fluttering its wings like frantically, like it's trying to tell something to Avishai ben Seruya. Now, just so you know, they used to use pigeons, and I think even during the wars, they used to use pigeons to deliver messages. I don't know how they trained the pigeons to do this, but they would tie like a little note on the leg of the pigeon. He would fly and he would deliver the message and then come back for another message. So he took this fluttering, this panicky pigeon, dove, as kind of a sign that something is wrong. Amar, Knesset Yisrael Yonait im Tela. The consciousness of the Jewish nation, right? The Jewish nation has a consciousness that's called Knesset Yisrael. Knesset Yisrael literally means, it's kind of like a mythological idea, like there was the gathering of all the Jewish nation. So what is that gathering of all the Jewish nation? It's a collective consciousness of the Jewish people, right? So the collective, by the way, there's truth to this. I mentioned, I believe, that before October 7th, Jews, many people had dreams that something was about to happen, right? There was, and by the way, I actually saw a YouTube video which was bringing about the dreams that people had, because the person who made this video had friends, and they actually predicted the date on which the hostages would be released. Because in one of the dreams, they said, wait for day, I don't remember what day it was, and I was like, in my mind, when I saw this video like two days after October 7th, and I said, okay, let's wait for that day. That was the day that the hostage, you remember there was the first hostage exchange when they released all the God? I was like, that's a crazy stuff. So there's this idea of the collective consciousness of the Jewish people. By the way, C.G. Young discusses the collective consciousness of nations, which is where I get the very concept of collective consciousness. He says nations have a collective consciousness. And my daughter had a dream before October 7th, right, about that. I had a horrible premonition, mamash, Erev, it was Hoshana Rabbi, and I was like, Kuli Nis'ar, I was full of something was bothering me. Anyway, so the idea of collective consciousness is not some far-fetched idea, right? So sometimes something happens and you feel it. Something is not the way it should be. So you can't just take it lightly, right? So here he has this feeling, Abishai ben Seruya, and he understands something is wrong. Shema mina David Malkat Yisrael v'Sarah, he says there must be something happening to David HaMelech. Again, how did he know? No, intuition. But we can't, again, don't put down intuition. Sometimes intuition has a place. But you know whose intuition you're never supposed to put down?
Your wife.
Yes, exactly. Correct. No, but it's true. The Hachamim say that the wife has Binah Yetera. They have an intuition, and they know. And sometimes the Gemara says if a guy comes to the house and the wife doesn't like him, the wife is right and you're wrong. No, he's a nice guy. The wife doesn't like him. Her intuition says he's a phony. 9 out of 10, actually 10 out of 10 times. Yeah, my wife is right. I have to say, she gets it. What? No, it's like weird. I can't explain it. I have no explanation. But not everything has to be reduced to Aristotelian logic, right? That's the point of, there's things above Aristotelian logic. All right, so he has this premonition. Something is wrong with David HaMelech. I feel it. He goes to the house of David HaMelech, doesn't see him. Don't forget, David HaMelech is an old man. Maybe he died. I don't know, something. Amar. Tenan, eno chimin al suso, ve'eno shimin al kiso, ve'en mishameshim b'sham bito, be'eshat sakana amai. So, he says, I need to get somewhere really fast. I can't, I don't have the transportation means. Can I use the horse of David HaMelech to zoom and start searching for him? Atasha il ben midrasha. He goes to the Bet Midrash. The Sanhedrin is in Jerusalem, as you know. He tells the Sanhedrin, look, I need the horse of David HaMelech. According to Halakha, it's forbidden to ride on the horse of the king. I need the horse. I want to look for him. They say, if it's a time of danger, go use his horse, try to find him, see what's going on. He gets on the horse. And as he's riding on the horse, kapsa le'ar'a, they literally meaning the land jumped towards him. Meaning suddenly he's in Nov, or not actually Nov, because he's in the Gaza Strip. Jerusalem to Gaza Strip, or Ashkelon, Ashdod, that area. He's in that area of Israel. Now what does that mean? What does it mean that suddenly it jumped up? You understand my question? Mm-hmm. So, is there like a napkin? Give me that napkin, please. Okay, so I want to try to explain to you something that Albert Einstein, in 1935, there was Nathan Rosen and Albert Einstein. They had an equation, and the idea of the equation was to create a bridge between two distant places in space, right? Now, does anybody here speak mathematics? We all speak English. Does anybody here, you speak mathematics?
No.
Oh, okay. So in order to understand physics, you have to speak mathematics.
He speaks money.
I don't speak mathematics, but I can tell you what the idea of a wormhole is. And so it's a theoretical passageway through space-time. It's not just through space. That will create a shortcut through, if you're going on a long journey in the universe. So if you go through a wormhole, so let's just say, for example, I'm just giving this as an example, okay? So let's say we're here on this corner, and let's say this is the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, so the sun is a star in the Milky Way galaxy. Now, one of the closest galaxies to the Milky Way, if not the closest one, is the Andromeda galaxy. I could be off, but let's say it's about 35 million light years away, but it's very far. It's crazy, these distances. You know what 35 million light years is? It's ridiculous. It's a close, okay, but I could be off. Actually, let's say, hey Siri, How far is the Andromeda Galaxy from the Milky Way Galaxy?
To do that, you'll need to be online.
Oh, okay. Maybe somebody check that up while I'm doing this. Distance between Milky Way and Andromeda. I'm just curious. Maybe it's 5 million light years. I don't even know. Just like throwing a number out there. I'm like curious. So the Andromeda Galaxy is the closest one, or one of the closest galaxies to the Milky Way.
It says 2.5 million.
2.5 million light years. Okay, 2.5. That means that a ray of light traveling at 186,000 miles per second. It's actually 186,132 miles per second. Per second. So in 1 second they travel 186,000. Let's say 300,000 kilometers. It's easier. So in 2 seconds they travel 600,000 kilometers. In 3 seconds they already travel close to 1 million kilometers. It'll take how long? 2.5 million years for a ray of light leaving the planet Earth to reach the Andromeda Galaxy. God, that's like ridiculous. It's ludicrous. Anyway, so let's say this is the Milky Way Galaxy. We're here somewhere. Let's say this is the Andromeda Galaxy. So you say it's and this is like just a 2-dimensional rendering of space, because we all know that space is 3-dimensional, but it would work the same way. Meaning, if you're a differential geometer, you'd be able to conceptualize this in your mind, and you'd be able to understand this at the mathematical level. I'm not, and I don't. But I'm just giving you the idea. So how do you travel from this point to this point? So you need a really fast spaceship. Well, okay, like spaceship going close to the speed of light, 2.5 million years to get here, right? You'll never get there. I mean, nobody will ever get there. I don't know, but I don't know how many generations after. Okay, so the idea is, if you can bridge. Now, if you fold space, I'm just showing this here. If you fold space, if you fold space, so it's still the same distance to get from here to here. But if you find this place where space is folded, so the theory goes, the Einstein-Rosen theory of wormholes, you can find a place where actually you can kind of like skip over this whole thing and just go straight from this point to this point. You see that? Right? That's the idea of a wormhole.
Like,
It's their version of the battery tunnel.
Like going from California.
Right, but the idea is that, fair enough, exactly. I noticed that in the Midrashim of Chazal, they have the idea of kefisat derech. And when I was younger, you say kefisat derech. It's like, okay, cute, whatever. That doesn't make any sense, like scientifically. That somebody, what?
Jumping, skipping.
Kefisat derech means like that suddenly you're in this place and suddenly, boom, you're in the next place in a very, very, very short amount of time. Like it wasn't supposed to, like you're just there. So all I'm saying is that yes, this seems fantastical, but if you understand physics and you accept the concept of wormholes, which by the way are not proven yet. At the mathematical level, they describe the wormhole. It doesn't mean that it exists in the real world. It may or may not exist. But the point is, that's the idea of what happens in these stories. The guy is Erev Shabbat, he's shampooing his hair, he's about to go to Knis. He unshampoos his hair, gets dressed, goes to the Melech's house, Erev Shabbat. Then, Erev Shabbat, he goes to the Sanhedrin, Erev Shabbat. Then Erev Shabbat said, can I use a horse? He goes back to now he has a horse. Now all this is happening before Shabbat. Does any of this make sense? Right. But if you have this concept of a wormhole where space and time are twisted, this can happen. Okay? So I'm just bringing it out to you. I just want to give you that perspective on things, And this is part of, you see a lot of this happening in the stories in the Agatot, where it's almost like time and space, they fold in on themselves, right? And that's why I use the idea of the wormhole to explain it. All right. Let's continue.
Because it gives it brilliance and once again,
When-
Chachamim.
Yeah, exactly.
What Allah wants us to do.
Yeah, because the Chachamim, they were rationalistic thinkers.
Today, Einstein, we see that there's a potential for that to be true.
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And look, there's a lot of things we still don't understand about physics, We have the general theory of relativity, which is what the wormhole is, an extension of, I believe. You have the special theory of relativity. You have quantum mechanics. Yeah, they try to bridge quantum mechanics. Okay, with relativity theory, they can't. They had all these theory. They're using string theory as a way to try to bridge the two. Apparently, string theory, in my opinion, is just. I don't think it's correct. I mean, I that's my opinion, but it doesn't matter. Let's continue. So Kam Azal Kafsali Ara. So there suddenly, boom, there was like a jump in the space-time continuum, and there he is, right there. Okay. Behadeh teka maske haziele orpa. Ime. Now, as he is entering the city, who does he see there? Orpa. Orpa is the mother of Goliath and the mother of Ishbi. Dehavat Navla. This is so beautiful. So the Orpa is there with a spindle, to make thread, right? The spinning wheel, right? So she's with the spindle. How beautiful. All right. Ki haziteh. When she sees Abishai, she recognizes Abishai. Pasakta lepilcha shadete ilave. She's on a higher floor, so she takes her spindle and she throws it out the window to try to kill Abishai. Savra lemiktaleh, she wants to kill him. Amrale, she misses. Elem, young man, sir, I tell you, Pilach, can you help me, please? I dropped my spindle. Okay. Like how many times do you see these innocent Palestinians, old lady, okay, and then suddenly she's blocking a terrorist, moves to the side, okay, shoot the damn Jew. Like we can't be fooled forever. We can't be fooled forever. Did you see the nursery? They have like this nursery graduation for the Palestinians. You saw it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's gross. They're teaching them how to do October 7th. So for those of you who didn't see, the kids, they're teaching them how to ambush a house which has Jews in it, and they're going to throw a grenade inside, and the Jews are going to come out and take them hostages. I mean, the modern man is, well, that's not true. I used to think that modern man would be rebelled by October 7th. Apparently, I was wrong. We were all wrong. There's a lot of Amalek. We have to admit it. There's Amalek. Now, these old ladies, Elohim Yishmor, you see them like, they cheer when their children died in a suicide bombing. They're all happy. Oh, I bring children to the world to kill Jews. Okay, so this old lady, so that's the lesson here. The lesson, she's doing a spindle. Young man, can you help me, please? Bring me this thing. The guy takes it. He's not a stupid. He takes it, he throws it at her head, and he understood what happened. She was trying to kill him, and he kills her instead. And good for him. He gets to where Yishbi is, and Yishbi sees him. Amar hashta havu beteren v'katlin li. And now he realizes there's two against one. And he understands that if he doesn't kill David HaMelech now, they're going to kill him. It's 2 against 1. He takes a sword, he puts his sword like in the ground. Remember we said he had this huge sword with a blade weighing a copper blade weighing how no. And basically he drops David. David was in a higher place, and he drops David. The idea was that David HaMelech would fall on the blade and get impaled on the spot. Amar nifol ala v'niktal. David HaMelech is going to fall on the blade, and that's it. He's going to be, he'll be killed on the spot. Amar Avishai Shem. Avishai says the name of God. I'm going to explain this in a moment. Ukmele David, and the miracle happens, and David HaMelech is suspended between heaven and earth. Now, I'm going to tell you in a moment what it means he was suspended between heaven and earth, but I want to explain what it means he said the name of God. So the name of God that it's referring to here is the letters Yod, Ke, or the letter He, Yod, and then the letter He, and then the letter Vav, and then the letter He, right? That's the real name of God. We say Amonai. Amonai is a name through which we refer to God. And then we say Elokim. Elokim is the way we refer to God. El, the different names that we refer to God. name Yod, and then you have the letter He, then you have the letter Vav, then you have the letter He. Those 4 letters, that's the real name of God. Now that name of God, we don't even know how to vocalize it. We don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not even going to say different variations. It's forbidden to say any variation, but we don't know what the correct pronunciation is, right? The Kohanim in the Bet HaMikdash, they had the correct pronunciation. When they would say Birkat Kohanim, they would say the Birkat Kohanim. They wouldn't say like we say, Amonai. It wouldn't be Amonai. It would be the actual pronunciation of the name. Now, my
Nobody
father
would really hear it, right? They did it in a way.
because they would do it in a staggered way. Imagine like you have 30, 40, 50, 60
vocalized
Kohanim.
together.
So they would have it where like kind of, and they planned it beforehand. You 10 Kohanim, you start. The next 10 Kohanim continue afterwards. Then you go afterwards, and you go after. You couldn't really hear the actual vocalization. They didn't want anybody to know the vocalization, but it was there. And what happened is, and again, my father explained to me, we studied this in Harambam, in the Moreh Nebuchim, which is the true Jewish mysticism, is in the Moreh. So there's something in that name that teaches you something about God, God's essence, which the human mind cannot comprehend, or on its own cannot comprehend, or even if I told you, or even if somebody told you what that was, you wouldn't. But there's something in that name which is a truth about God's essence. No other name, no other language, no other word, no other combination of words, no other combination of letters has that particular secret, let's call it. Right? You understand? So when you hear that name, it places you in the presence of God, if you understand what it is that you're saying. So now, when you pray, for example, the truth about the prayer is not just to say the words of the prayer. Of course, we have to say the words. The truth about prayer is to feel the presence of God as you're praying, right? So if you're praying but you don't really feel the presence of God, it's not, whatever. It's, kind of like throwing the football maybe once or twice. Nobody's there to catch it. I don't know. But the point is that the idea of feeling the presence of God, that presence puts you in a state where miracles can happen. And that's why you see in the Gemara, miracles happening to the Chachamim, because they have that ability, that focus, which we don't have, right? Or we don't always have, perhaps. But having that focus and that presence, it brings a certain protection to you. You understand? So Avishai, he mentions that name, because by saying the name, you hear and you understand. And that state of mind is what caused the miracle where David, so to speak, suspended between heaven and earth, or between where he was thrown from and the spear, and he's not landing on the spear. So it's almost like there's like a rupture in the space-time continuum, right? Where David HaMelech's place comes to a stop. You understand what's happening here? So that's where it is. Now the Gemara has a digression. Well, we'll go to 9:15. Yes, 3 more minutes. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you're all good. Okay. All right.
So the saying, flesh that out a little bit more. So you're tapping into the pronunciation and
Because
the connection with and feeling and knowledge of God at that moment that can potentially.
yeah, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. So I want to describe the phone to you. So now, is there something in the word phone that explains what the phone is? So the answer is yeah, because phone has to do with phonetics, phon, you hear, right? So like usually, an intelligent language will have words which tell you something about the things that the word symbolizes. Every word symbolizes something. So if I have a machine, I'll say I have a quantum computer. So that tells you something about the computer, right? So now I say Amonai. The name of God is Amonai. So you know something about God that God is the Lord. He is the Dominus. He has dominion over the world. That's what the word Ammonai means. But you can associate the word dominion with somebody else. For example, you can say, well, that crazy nut in North Korea, whatever, Kim Jong-un. So he has dominion over North Korea. There was a flood, 1,000 people died, so he killed a whole bunch of people in the government to take responsibility. Okay, so the guy's a nutcase, but he has dominion over North Korea. So the word Elohim, what does the word Elohim mean? It means God is the judge. Okay. There's something in the word which has the letters Yod, letter E, letter Vav, letter E. There's something in that word that describes something about God which is different than everything else in the entire world. It only describes God and describes nothing else but God. And when you hear that and you understand it, because you studied it, because obviously if I just said the word now, it wouldn't mean anything. You have to study it, but it evokes that presence. It's the understanding of what the word means that evokes in the mind the presence of God, and that presence puts a person in a state where he can experience a miracle if God chooses to, to bestow His grace upon that person. You understand?
So, definitely so.
Of course, no. This is the sod. This is it. There's no greater sod than the meaning of that four-letter word, the four-letter word, Yod, letter He, letter Vav, letter He. That four-letter word is the sod.
Okay.
Right? But obviously I can't, that's what I can say. Okay, let's stop here, I think, right?
No problem.